Hi everyone, today we're transforming this tired and outdated dresser into this distressed French cottage beauty. So we're going to start with 120 grit sandpaper just to knock off some of the clear coat, some of the debris and old gunk that may be on the surface. This is not an elaborate sanding job, just something quick and easy. And then what we're going to use as our primer is shellac. So shellac is great for sealing your wood and for preventing wood bleed through. I'm simply going to use a paper towel and wipe it on. The shellac dries pretty quickly, so I'm going to try to work quickly, not worrying too much about streaking because this stuff dries pretty evenly and you will see it will dry clearly. I waited about an hour for my primer to dry and now I'm going to start painting. I picked a really pretty minty green called Green Balsam by Behr, which I converted into chalk paint. I will put a link to how I make my chalk paint in the video box. I simply begin applying the paint with up and down strokes using my Purdy paintbrush. Look how wonderful the coverage is looking. With the shellac as a base, it really does the trick. But as usual, the first coat will be looking a little blotchy once it dries, and the second coat will pull it all together. This is just looking beautiful. I love this color. Use your misting bottle that I will also put a link to keep the paint moving over your surface. Whenever working with chalk paint, you're going to want to keep it moist because chalk paint dries very quickly, and just a little bit will help move that paint. Now I'm going to show you how the piece looks after one coat. As you can tell, it is a little bit streaky, it is a little bit thin in some parts, but don't worry, it will come together on your second coat. You may need a third coat depending on other variables like the piece you're working with and the paint you're using. Go ahead and apply one or two more coats. And after that, we are going to begin distressing. I'm going to use 120 grit sandpaper again with my orbital sander, and I'm just going to start opening that paint. The trick I like to use is to be quick and light over the surface, because if you overdo it, you're going to open up that wood grain too much and get too much raw wood. You really just want to go nice and light and quick over the surface. Look how amazing that's looking, just giving it a really farmhouse, French cottage aesthetic with the contrast of the wood grain underneath along with this beautiful minty green. Pick some random parts along your surface. I like to do it just sporadically, but you can go heavier on the distressing or lighter depending on your personal preference. I'm also going to go very quickly over the edges just to highlight the details with some distressing. Here I am doing one of the drawers and I am just beginning to open everything up. Don't worry if it looks messy in a certain part, you can come back over it with your sander and work it a little bit to open up that wood grain. Look how wonderful that looks. Now we're going to freshen up the hardware. I first cleaned them really well with soapy water, and I am going to give these a similar distressed look, an aged look. I'm going to start by applying some of the same minty green, my green balsam color, just dabbing up and down over my hardware. By painting in this fashion, I'm going to create some texture. It's going to make the paint a little bit more bumpy, which is going to add to that character that I want to achieve on the hardware. And chalk paint adheres really well to just about any surface, including glossy metals, but it's also going to come up in parts on your first coat. That's okay. Wherever I place my glove finger, some of the paint will come off, but I am going to let it dry and then come back over with my next paint color. So don't worry about it not being perfectly covered. Now I'm using weathered white paint and I'm going to use the same dabbing up and down technique with my brush. making sure to leave some of the under layer, some of the mint green exposed. So I'm just sporadically applying the white to create some contrast and some dimension. This is already looking so fabulous. I just love the way it looks. Once my white paint is dry, I am going to add some aged brass metallic wax just to give it a little bit more of an aged aesthetic. I simply, with my gloved finger, rub some on my finger and then apply it. These subtle details of the wax are going to really add beautiful character and also help define some of the ornate details of the hardware. This is looking really nice, and it's a very easy way to kind of refresh your hardware and update it along with the new look of your furniture piece. To seal the piece, I'm going to use my favorite clear finishing wax. This stuff is just wonderful. It is non-toxic, it smells delicious, and it gives the finish of the paint, once it is cured, a very durable, protective finish. I'm simply going to apply it mainly in circular motions, and look how rich and silky this wax makes the paint look. It also kind of blends everything together cohesively, so I really like working with waxes. And that is it, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comments below.